just need y'all to be a little crunk tonight with what we got. Because no matter what, that's what documentaries are for, to show that real shit.
Production 13 Films followed a group of poets from September 2003 to March 2004 as they performed at various poetry scenes from Charlotte to Greensboro, North Carolina. We now know that this is clearly their passion that turns mere words into lyrics and lyrics into powerful messages. Urban poets call it spit, blazing, or flames. In this documentary film, you will hear them talk about you, me, they, them, and us. Stories that talk about their experiences, your experiences, some good, some bad. But you know, that is life. Poetry is art. It is the art of someone's feelings, aspirations, and sorrows crafted through life's experiences, put to paper, then delivered powerfully and passionately. So the next time you hear about an open mic or a poetry reading, open your mind, do yourself a favor, and go.
It's dawned on me why I don't dwell in bougie restaurants and nightclubs. $10 entry fees and 2 drink minimums attempt to pimp poets' performances, parading their pussy practicing promotions ploy while penetrating the next punk they pressure while drowning in the martini Monday's marketing plan. Espresso, latte, frozen margarita, strawberry daiquiri machine. Wore out my cleats and combat boots. March 7 miles for your child's bus system while you're stuck between the stringent minutes of your day planner. The time you missed was the visiting hours to your homeboy that refused to snitch on your child porn internet hustle. Forgotten is how many weeks left in your mistress trimester. Forgotten is the drunken state trooper that killed 2 black men on 95. Forgotten is how they parade Michael Jackson and high Rush Limbaugh. So fuck your anti-revolutionary Bugetto complacency. Let's put down the 6 wig of vodka and stop making cataracts and cancer you don't have as excuses for smoking weed and read everything from the 9 insights of the Celestine prophecy to chapbooks written on company time, copies stolen from Kinko's, flooding with underground poetry. And though I loathe reading in venues where poets' egos are bigger than the areas they've read in, I am sure there is one untainted, excited to be here, reading their first poem, Virgin, or the one I too remember the struggle man in his 50s, divorced twice because he still represents the 60s, or the one couple in their early 20s, married for love, not pregnancy, or the one 13-year-old girl that lied about her age to get in because she heard there was an open mic and just wants someone to listen to her drug problem and sex addiction, straining to hear over the blender, can hear me screaming for them too.
First started, I actually wasn't really reading here too much, but I heard of a place called the Moon Room, and everybody said it was so great, so nice, you know, and then another spot, Cafe, where I actually started reading at back in 99, 2000, and they were really, it was just like a bunch of friends getting together and we were just sharing things with each other, and then it got bigger.
I wrote my first poem when I was 7. there was a writing contest in the 2nd grade, and we were gonna win a scholarship to something or another. It wasn't a big scholarship. It was like maybe $200-300, but it was for school. So I guess that was my first slam. And I didn't win because I wrote about the rainbow and then I added black, but I thought black was a color, so I added black and said it was like the jacket on the bumblebees or something. And then some other little girl in the class won. They said that my description of black was too dark, and I didn't view it that way at all. So I was, already scoring at 7 about the color black. I was like, oh, all right.
I got started in 11th grade in high school, around 96. That was when my high school English teacher introduced me, and I was like a math and science person. I never really liked English or anything until I met her, and she introduced me to Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin and all these wonderful writers. And so I started reading a lot of Nikki and then trying to write like Nikki. And then when I got to college, I got introduced to Saul Williams, and I started trying to write like Saul Williams, but all this time I still wasn't reading in front of anybody. I didn't start reading until my senior year, around 2001, when I just found out about this reading at Tonic in Charlotte and drove up and went back faithfully like every 2 weeks for it. So I've only been reading seriously for about 3 years now.
I've been writing pretty much since high school. Actually since middle school. I remember writing my first poem when I was in the 7th grade, and it was because of a friend that I had, one of my best friends. She also wrote poetry, and we used to write little love poems and, little roses are red type things. I think because we were introduced to it in school and found an interest in it. So it goes back, I guess you could say, to middle school, high school times, but I didn't get into writing serious, poetry until probably around 97 or 98.
North Carolina is one of the few areas left to have, it seems to me as an outsider looking in, that has been untainted by the I'm better than you poet versus poet egomania thing that's going on. Now I don't know, like if I was inside or here every day, that may be different. However, on the outside looking in, which is an awesome thing. So if I'm an outsider not seeing this, I think it's wonderful, because it's almost, as a poet, we have our eyes sharpened for this. We're like, okay, is there drama, is there stress in the poetry scene in North Carolina? And I've never really seen that here. So I think it's awesome that the poets travel from Charlotte all the way up to the Triangle area and back and forth through the poetry circuit, because I know all the way up through the Triangle in Durham and Raleigh and Cary, and then in the middle in the Greensboro, and then down here in Charlotte, I always hear the North Carolina poets talking about, I'm going to Greensboro, I'm going to Raleigh, I'm going to Charlotte, on different days of the week. So I think that's awesome that they cross paths all the time.
Poetry here in Charlotte, more or less, I see it's grown to a whole nother level now, because now the poets are actually coming together. Before, everybody was just separate, so-called trying to make it or striving to be known in Charlotte. But I think what made it different is that, now the poets were forming to where we're known as a unit. When people see one of us, they know they probably can look close by and see another one. Bluz is so phenomenal and so versatile, and with his rap skills, he's able to bring poetry to you like in so many different angles. He'll sing a hook, and his hooks, what he sings is natural. It's not something that he's trying to do. He's not trying to throw a hook in there. He's just giving you blues.
Bluz is one of my favorite poets. Bluz he's just everywhere. I mean, Bluz writes about everything. He writes in characters. Not only can he write characters, but he speaks them. I mean, Bluz is his poetry, His poetry is him. No matter what poem Bluz is doing, I mean, you feel it, because he gets so into it that he gets you into it. And even if you read his poetry instead of hearing him do it, you still get into it, because he just has a way with words that, I mean, it's just sick in a way.
This will not be the love poem you have longed for. These will not be Shakespearean prose or the pledging of my love to the glory of your soul. This will not be that poem. This will not be the poem that speaks to your heart so that it beats in rhythm with mine. No, this will not be that poem. These will not be words conveying my sensitivity and my ability to feel your heart with intuition, you vying for my attention to your emotional stability, or words that serve simply as idle, mundane conversation spoken by soulmates who have loved each other. Even before God created the emotion of love, this will not be that poem. It is not the poem of some New Jack superficial Love Jones cat who will lay you on your back and scratch sexual tracks down your vertebrae while you say things that are not in my nature, and your clitoris sings as his tongue begins to taste you while you arch your back to tune into the frequency he is sending through your trembling thighs, while your weakened knees are bending over his broad metaphoric shoulders, while he holds your hips and pulls you in closer and deeper into his wet mouth to the point where you never want him to come out until he is finished saying what he is saying to your body. Oh no, this will not be that Love Jones poem you can go home and masturbate to. You see, my love is going beyond travels and dedication. It surpasses infinity and eternity by 1 billion light years, and you see, that's just when it's getting started. You see, my love is unconditional, beyond what was unconditional for Jesus and Mary. It is beyond what you can conceive or believe. I've even heard the most committed stalker saying, "That motherfucker is crazy." You see, my words are what Malcolm and Martin never said. Tears that Coretta and Betty should have never shed. My poem will not be about long walks and quiet talks, intellectual talks in quiet parks with fingers skimming between toes and hands pushing the curve of your arch until pain and pleasure coexist harmoniously in a world of near orgasm and relaxation where your lover anticipates your every secret sensation. This will not be that poem. It is not the poem about the honor and valor of black women, or how I cry when I see you smile and hold my children, or how when I think about all the sacrifice given, or how when I fuck up, that my actions are not forgotten, but through time and wisdom they are forgiven. You see, what I have to say, human voices can never convey or profess. No silly poem could ever truly attest. There are no words, just God sing me to the core of my meaning. Because this is so much deeper than commitment and feeling. This is I love you, truthfully speaking.
My poetry delved out of being, having my heart broke, you know. And a lot of what I wrote has never been read, you know. I don't read it because that was just a time in my life where I was hurt. I was really, really hurt. As a man, my pride was broken, so I just put it out on paper. That's the way I knew how to vent. And I really didn't know I knew how to write until someone read it and said, this is really deep stuff. So they say a train is coming, and it's coming to take me to see my mama. It's coming to take me to see my children. Now, they say it come from the deepest quiet of dark when the earth don't move and the wind don't blow. They say it move as fast as the imagination of Jesus, and you don't need no money to get on board, just gotta have a desire to get free. Gotta want them shackles off your feet, gotta want your lungs to breathe sweet freedom. And when that train come, you must follow the path and run past the slave quarters and through cotton fields. You better run past the big house and that hanging tree that strange fruit that never grew. You better run through the stream that the witch doctor dream in a hard rain of flashes of lightning. You better run over the hill now, then stop. Child, be still. Don't make a sound, because I can hear those bloodhounds bark and howl. Slavery! You better run past your grandfather's grave plot through fields of marigold and lilac as the cold air kisses the whelps on your back. You better run past the Civil War, run past men with calloused hands, run past women with slave brands. Despite their own need, they still raised our children. You better run from the back of the bus. You better run through Harlem during a renaissance. You better run and fly with airmen from Tuskegee. You better run from that fatal shot in Memphis, Tennessee. You better run from a bombed out church. You better run to the funeral of a martyr. You better run to where 4 black fathers lost 4 black daughters. You better run into the turning of the century. And I will not stop running until my daughter makes presidential history. Yeah, right. You better run through the riots and Watts, through ghettos and vacant lots to Wall Street stocks. You better run the $1 million contracts. You better run the gospel hymns and gangster raps. You better run into the dawning of the sun. You gotta run till they don't know which way we coming from. We have to run to the Supreme Court so justice will finally give some peace to our forefathers. You gotta run to first base as a Brooklyn Dodger. You gotta run to the moon for Rob McNair. His spirit will gladly meet you there.
We have to run from the genocide of blacks on blacks, run from the death of AIDS and crack. We gotta run to get these black families back. We gotta run to get these black families back. We have to run from the pain of the nightstick. It reminds me of the pain of the overseer's whip. We have to run to this cloud of ignorance. Listen now, children recognize their spiritual gifts. We have to run till they realize that the revolution will not be televised. We have to run from the mountaintop to the valley low. Said we gotta run till we ain't gotta run no more. We gotta run till there ain't no more air to breathe. Run till God say it's time to leave. Gotta run until you believe. Said you gotta run until you believe. Gotta run till we ain't gotta run no more. Got the keys to y'all shackles. Y'all ready to go?